ọjọ́ kẹwàá nínú oṣù kẹfà ọdún 2024. Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Mo tún kí gbogbo wa ní ibi tí ẹ bá ti ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa tí ẹ ti fi gbọ́ wa ní ọ̀sán yìí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe ń wọlé, àtẹni tí ó kọ́kọ́ ṣe máa gbọ́ wa, àtẹni tó gbọ́ wa tẹ́lẹ̀ rí, ẹ bá wa pín ètò yẹn kó lè kárí ilé dáadáa. Mo kí ọmọdé, mo kí àgbàlagbà, mo dẹ̀ kí gbogbo àwọn ọ̀dọ́, mo kí bàbá Professor Adébánjọ Akíntóyè, mo kí àwọn family tèmi náà, mo kí gbogbo wa as I continue to make sure that my platform can be used to educate millions of Nigerians. Most importantly, àwọn Yorùbá tó ń bẹ níbẹ̀ láti lè ṣàlàyé fún wa some of the past and some of the present of what we know and what probably we never know. So this afternoon, we're going to be diving into a bit of history of that contraction known as Nigeria, and it is important that you sit back and let us, enjoy it together. We will be discussing one of the most important person as well. We tend to talk about Lugard all the time, but I've just picked up another important individual that we need to know and we need to talk about, and that is the former British High Commissioner to Nigeria during the early years of the independence of Nigeria. His name, he died at the age of 101 years old, but before he died, he granted few interviews on the Guardian in the United Kingdom, which is about 11 years old. This article that we're going to be going through is known as Sir Francis Comey Bruce. Sir Francis Comey Bruce. Well, I'll be telling you everything you need to know about him, and it is important that you invite somebody else, to come and listen and find out what he said before he died in 2000. He died about 2007. No, he granted the interview in 2007, but he's already passed on. Whether we say his soul rest in peace or not, but the fact remains is that some of what he said, some almost 60 or thereabout years ago, is still the present problem in Nigeria today. So as usual, let us first listen to the clip that we picked up from Oloyegbowo conversation at Benin Republic over the weekend. I spoke to him this morning. He's in a very good high spirit as usual. And as many of you are calling me, Kini wants Sonny Benin Republic, like I always say to you, whatever is discussed in Benin Republic, remain in Benin Republic. But our leaders will tell us exactly what the next step would be just after the 30 days expiration of our letter to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Sunday, ọjọ́ ìsinmi náà bí mi. Èèyàn dẹ̀ ní bá sinmi jà kó sinmi láyé. Èèyàn dẹ̀ ní kú sinmi kó sinmi. Ọlọ́run tó dára lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi ọlọ́mọ tó rí. Ọlọ́mọ ohun ìwọ ọkàn rẹ̀ tó fi ní wálé ayé. Ọwọ́ àfihàn bàbá tó jẹ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n. Pòfẹ́sọ̀ ni o. Kí èsì àfẹnujẹ́. Ó fi wọ́n ti àwọn ìṣègùn. Gẹ́gẹ́ gíìtì. Wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ fún mi. Bàbá ṣiṣẹ́ fún pòfẹ́sọ̀ ni. Àti ìhùn àti ẹ̀. Bàbá wa ṣàdéhùn pé bí Sunday ọ̀gá bọ́ọ̀lù ẹ̀rọ ẹ̀wọ̀n ní kútọ́ òun kò rí. Bàbá rẹ̀ bá dé oúnjẹ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ máa gbà fún bàbá bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ nígbà pé yẹn. Àṣọ èsì ọ̀gá gbà fún bàbá kí tètè pátápátá ọmọ àìmọ́ ìyẹn wọ́n ti fẹ́ já gbogbo lẹ́yìn bàbá. Mi ò lè ṣe é dá torí mi ò kí dalẹ̀ yẹn. Kábíyèsí ọlọ́run. Tí ẹ bá dúró tì mí, èmi ní òdùn tì. Ẹ tó bá dúró tì ní là dúró tì. Bàbá dúró tì ní ẹ̀rẹ́gbẹ̀rẹ̀ tì bàbá. Ohun tí bàbá wà lẹ́ fẹ́, èmi náà wọ́n fẹ́. Ohun tí bàbá lẹ́ fẹ́ ni pé lágbà orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá kò lè pọ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ mímí àtàyè lórí tó ti bàbá. Káwọn ẹ̀kọ́ ló pọ̀ aṣọ wa wọ́n lè kọ́ sọmọ lóòkú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àní sí ẹsẹ̀ yẹn Ojú kílẹ̀ nǹkan wò jí. Òun ló wà ẹ̀wẹ̀. Ẹni tí ó ròyìn kò ní kú sójú ogun. Ẹni tó máa ń jagun lọ gbogbo tó lọ lágbára máa ń sẹ́ o. Tẹ́ ẹ máa ń jagun kan lọ tó wá fẹ́ yíwọ́. Tẹ́ ẹ fọgbọ́n sí kẹ́ ẹ bá lè jà mí. Tẹ́ ẹ bá kú sójú ogun kò ní jà mí. Àwọn èdè kú sógun. Àti kú sógun. Gbogbo ẹni tí máa ń kó wa òun kú Ọlọ́run ni. Wọ́n dà ọ́ lóhùn ẹ̀dá bá fẹ́ kú wa òun ní Ọlọ́run. Àwọn òní sẹ́tọ̀ fún yàn àdẹ̀lẹ́ fún yàn kó bá kú wa òun ní Ọlọ́run. Ohun táwa ń sọ ló padà yé yín. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ kẹta àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ti tẹ̀lé sí i. Ó ti tẹ̀lé. Adé Nàìjíríà yìí ti finish. Ó ti finish. Ẹbí náà fẹ́ yá pọ̀ ẹ̀ ìzọ́ọ̀bù ẹ̀. Peacefully ẹ̀gbà ẹ̀kú wa ẹ̀sùn wọn àwọn. Ẹbí náà ti ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí. Gàrí kúrú bẹ́ẹ̀ ti dàrú. Èmi náà sì máa ń sọ sẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ mọ̀ fi ọdún ní lórí àtẹ̀lábá kan lẹ̀. Títí gbọ́dọ̀ máa tún tó bẹ̀, tẹ́lẹ̀ mi máa tún bọ́ bẹ̀, ẹ kàn mọ̀ ní Tinubu. Ẹ kàn mọ̀ ní tó wà bẹ̀ ṣe pé ẹ kí wọ́n dé láti nígbà tó kọ́ lọ́rẹ̀. Àwọn òdèrè tó lẹ̀ máa tẹ̀, àwọn àdéhùn á sọ fọ́nà Ọlọ́run lẹ̀ máa tẹ̀. Ọlọ́run bá tó láyé tó lọ́run lè bá wa pẹ́. Yóò sì pẹ́ dé àṣẹ
And that was Chief Sunday Igboho. Let's listen to this and then we play my intro, we play the anthem, then we go straight into the program.
Cows are not citizens of Nigeria. So, Mr. President, cows are not citizens of Nigeria. You didn't hear what I said. Senator Adelu, are you arguing with me? No. I said cows are not citizens. The section you are referring to is talking about citizens of Nigeria. Yes. And cows are not citizens of Nigeria. Cows can come in from Niger. They can come in from Chad, anywhere. But cows are not citizens. Wrong. So, your point of order is noted, but rejected. You want to make contribution on the debate?
Well, cows were never citizens until the criminals brought in their cow to destroy us and also make sure that our lives have been very difficult. That is a farmer that has now had to deal with these criminals that have destroyed almost every part of Nigeria today. So for those of you that are saying that we should stick to Nigeria, I'll be telling you what the British High Commissioner at the early years of independence of Nigeria said about Yakubu Gowon and so many other things that we need to know. Maybe we should also track this in, and then I would probably omit mine because of those of you in Nigeria, but we see how it goes. Let's start with this.
It's too much. This surveillance is too much for this country. Please, if government work, if they cannot protest, we Yalaja, we go up our nyash, we go up our press, we go protest. Too much surveillance, too much for this country. But before you win, you go suffer. The surveillance is too much. Please, Madam, find solution for this thief. It's too much. Gary 2,000 naira. Since when my father bought me, I did not buy 1,000 naira pence of Gary. The selling is 2,000 naira now. It's too much. The savannah is too much. Even the rice, the Rika one rice up to 1,200 naira. For what reason? It's too much to buy meat.
As you were saying, Olu ti sú wa. Eku òkè bí eku mọ́, ẹyẹ òkè bí ẹyẹ mọ́. Gàrí la mú sá èmi àtàwọn àbí mi àlè jẹ ráìsì mọ́. Ẹ̀wà náà ti wọ́n. Gàrí ọ̀gá ti di 1-2. Ó ti sú mi, orílẹ̀-èdè ti sú mi. Báyìí kọ́ ni wọ́n bá tẹ́lẹ̀. Gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ní ọlá yìí ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀pẹ ni wọ́n ká o. Ẹ̀kọ́ Awólọ́wọ̀ wọn ká àlè rán mọ́ sùkúù mọ́. Ayé yín ò dáa. Ó ti sú wa o. Wọ́n bá wá nǹkan sí i àti pólítì. Ẹ rí i pé orí mi kan ti pa. Ó ti sú wa o. Ó ti sú wa o. Orílẹ̀-èdè wọn bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí o. Ráìsì ti di gàrí ti 1-2. Mo tún gbọ́ pé ráìsì ti di 80,000 àpò. Wọ́n bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí. Tá a bá tún abẹ́rẹ́ epo báyìí epo 580. Sorry, 680, 700 là ń rà. Kí ló dé kí la ṣe? Àwa akórópè gbogbo ẹ̀pọ̀n ní ọmọ gbóná lálẹ́ tá a mọ̀ fọmi wẹ́ẹ̀tì ẹ̀ pẹ́pẹ́ kan ọmọ lànà. Àní rí kankan. Epo náà ní ń pa lọ. Owó kúbíìsì àmọ́ mi wò rí san báyìí.
And that is many of our people that are languishing and suffering in what is known as Nigeria today. Even though we warned them, we told them, but most of them attacked us, told us, this one actually said, Toba ma dogun ko dogun.
Àtúrọ̀mọ́ pure water báyìí pé kó lọ ra pure water wa. Pure water ń sì ó ti di báàgì méjì 500. Kí ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀? Èwo ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí? Kí ló tún kọ pure water omi tá fi ń dáná? Omi tá fi ń dáná. Kí ló dé pé gbogbo nǹkan báyìí ìnira ti pọ̀ jù. Ìnira pọ̀ jù Lagos State yìí. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Nígbà tẹ́ ń ta pure water láti inú mọ́tò méjì 500 méjì báàgì méjì 500 láti inú mọ́tò. Àwọn tó máa tún ta kọ́lé ló máa tà. Kí ló pé ìnira á pọ̀ jù ní Nàìjíríà ìnira ti pọ̀ jù. Àtìgbà tí Buhari ti bọ́lẹ̀ báyìí ni Buhari ti gbé lọ́ọ̀fù ló ti gbé ìfẹ́ lọ. Kò sífẹ̀ẹ́ mọ́ ìnira ayé ti pọ̀ jù epo wọn àsọ̀rọ̀ gàrí wọn àsọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo nǹkan wọn àsọ̀rọ̀ ṣé pure water omi tá a mu lẹ́tún jẹ́ kó wọ́n omi jọ́sọ̀ omi tọ́lọ́run dá tó ń ṣe pé bóyá pé kínní òun lẹ́tún jẹ́ kó wọ́n níbo la ń lọ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà níbo la ń lọ báyìí níbo la ń lọ tó bá yẹ pé ogun la máa jà tí gbogbo wèrè yìí máa fi solve tó bá yẹ pé ogun la máa jà tí gbogbo ìyà tí àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù jẹ yìí táàfin ní jẹ mọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká kúkú jagun ẹ tó bá máa kú kó kú ẹ tó bá máa yè kó yè ìnira àtẹ́ni wọn láwa yóò ti pọ̀ jù ẹ̀yin nìkan lè gbádùn kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ gan ṣẹ́ ilé gbé wáyé wọlé síbẹ̀ ni.
We want them, but most says that we should keep quiet, that we don't have what it takes to speak on behalf of all the Yorubas home and in the diaspora, but now it seems the message is getting clearer.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Igbowo told them, I told them, Babakitoye told them, every one of us, we warned them, we told them that Nigeria was not what many thought about. But this afternoon, I will take you back to history on what we know regarding Nigeria from one person that was one time a British High Commissioner to Nigeria. I'm coming back on my seat.
Koikimedia, we're bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. I was a lara baida, I was no lasa tiede. Ìgbéde lárugẹ nílẹ̀ Oòduà, àwa gangan ni bàbá. Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. They never sabi wetin we carry for her, but they move closer before them go sabi. I said they never know wetin we carry for body, but they move closer before them go sabi. Ọ̀kìn lọ lọ́jà ẹyẹ ìhun ló ló lájú. Ẹyẹ tó lórí kodò bí àdó wọn gbẹ̀gbẹ̀ lẹ́nu. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ilẹ̀ bàbá wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú bàbá wa, ká jùmọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ ká lè tó dúdú àga. Òdúdú wa kò bá lè gbé wa. Ọmọ òdúdú wa ṣe kiri. Ẹ dìde fún ẹ̀tọ́ adúláwọ̀, ká lè jọ jùmọ̀ gbé délẹ̀ ìlérí. Káwa lè gba oko ilẹ̀ wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká lè jọ gbàdé. Lè gbàdé adé adúláwọ̀, àwa ni mọ̀lẹ́ tí yóò tàn káàkiri. Ìyàwó dúdú wà ní wá. Koikimedia, àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ. Ètò tó gbójú owó tí wà máa ní. Kásá. Ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà wà kájé gbúgbà yín jẹ. Ètò tó gbójú owó tí wà máa ní. À ń gbé tó lárugẹ. Salaru, ètò tó gbójú owó tí wàá máa ní. news and sports ẹ máa rí gbọ́. ètò tó kojú owó ni wọ́n máa ní. ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi ló ní kí n máa ké tantan Koikimedia ọ̀rọ̀ lágbájúmọ̀ mi máa bá ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ. ọmọ Yorùbá nìyẹn ọmọ Yorùbá tata o. àǹkádùn rẹ ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi ṣẹ́yìn ló máa fi dìbò tẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀ o. ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa ń dé ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa wọ̀ o. igbó máa wọ̀ kájòjì ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ̀ àjòjì tó bá wọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ á tẹ̀lé ní bọ́ra. ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ náwó òyìnbó tó dé ìgbà tó yìnbó dé o owó náà dẹ́ tún pọ̀ sí o Koikimedia sáwa ní bàbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àdáńtọ́ àtúnpèrègèdè. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àwa là ń gbẹ́tò lárugẹ jẹ́ ká jọgbọ́ o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àtúnjàfẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. ọmọ Òdùwà ni wá o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ikú tó ṣe bí lébi òsì àdìmú bàbá yọ. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. We bring you one closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń fẹ́ o tó ń kan gbogbo lára ni. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àpèrègèdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa ṣe. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Gbogbo ayé ẹ̀gbọ́n àwa ní bàbá o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà yín wá o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Òdúdú alágbèdá ní òtítọ́ lágbèdá ní. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àkìsọ̀dálẹ̀ àkìsọ̀díkẹta. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àdúrótán àtúnpèrègèdè. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia we bring you one closer to your doorstep. àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia is around to give us latest. Is around to give us latest. Ladies and gentlemen, ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹgbẹ́ tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó kojú owó. Ladies and gentlemen, ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹgbẹ́ tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó kojú owó. Koikimedia is around
to give us latest. A very good afternoon, Moki Bubu Alenkansi. Let's go straight into the program. Nígbà tá a gba independent in 1960, so much was happening that only now we are still retrieving information and trying to find out what took place before the fraudulent amalgamation. Emma Binu, I will appreciate every one of you. As I've gone into the program, I will be saying thank you towards the end of the program, because when we're like this, Yoruba Nation, Shirerara. And what I want to talk about, some of us must have seen it before, but a lot of Yoruba people I know doesn't know the background. Britain created a lot of mess that we are all going through today. Mess gidi lo ṣe fún wa. Was a lot of mess. Maybe it will be in their own interest now to rectify this mess before things goes the other way around. But if Britain continue to look away, then the probability that many years down the line, there would be very difficulties between the new nations that would emerge out of Nigeria with British or Britain. So for me, I think it would be in the interest of the British government to now intervene for the cry of the indigenous peoples that was merged in that 1914 amalgamation. Tó bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, ó máa mú wàhálà wá gan lọ́jọ́ iwájú. It's going to create a lot of problems. I was able to come across something this morning. And when you come across information, then one information leads you to another information. As I was doing my round on Twitter, known as X, something popped up on my timeline. And that information that I saw, I've been able to share that information. But that information then took me to another information. And that's the good thing about information. You will find out one, and then you will then work towards to find out that there is still other information that is connected to it. So what I saw this morning is the reason for the discussion this afternoon. Even though we've talked about the 1914 amalgamation, but what we don't talk about is how many people were involved as at that era, as at those times, that we can sometimes point out to. So something I saw that I was able to share, most of you have seen it. That is if you're following me back to back, not those of you that are waiting for gossip and those kind of news. You won't find it on my own timeline. And it has got to do with this, the Times of London on Wednesday, July 15, 1998. It was published July 15, 1998. That was like some few months before my arrival into the UK, because I came to UK almost that same year. But as a young Nigerian, left Nigeria, just doing my own little thing. But down the line, we are now understanding better some of those things that we didn't know about the true picture and the true image of this crazy country that British created on our behalf, that is now creating so much trouble and havoc fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àti àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù. So I'm going to read that article, or should we say column. And if you have not found it, that means Silori timeline me back to back, because you should have seen what I'm going to read to you. But let's say for the benefit of many of you that have been busy throughout the day. Nigerian lesson. This is from Sir Peter Smithers. Sir, during the negotiations for the independence of Nigeria, The view of the Secretary of State, the Secretary of State, let me just put it as the current SGF of the federal government of Nigeria, Akume, or the last one that you probably, Boss Mustafa, during Buhari, Boss Mustafa, it was the CSGF. Eroti Babache Lawal. Babache Lawal was there until Osibajo kicked him out because Ojiowo Tiwani called official grass cutting. Eroti story here. Just for those that probably will not know what a secretary of, is a very, very powerful post, not just in Nigeria, across the globe. Presently, Anthony Blinken is the Secretary of State for the United States of America, who will not travel on behalf of the president to represent Joe Biden around the world when it comes to the policies and so many issues that is going on that America is trying to either solve or create more problems. In the UK, we have the former Prime Minister, David Cameron, Owuni Foreign Secretary Tiwa. So those positions are very powerful positions if you are able to get it. So just for those of you that probably don't know the meaning of Secretary of State. At that time, in your Secretary of State, at that present time, with which I agree was that in Nigeria, we should attempt to put together a large and powerful state with ample material resources, which will play a leading part in the affairs of the continent and of the world. This was attractive, but it would involve forcing several different ethnic and cultural groups into a single political structure. Màá try láti ṣàlàyé to my understanding fẹ́yìntì ẹ̀fẹ̀gbọ́lédè Yorùbá before we go further. In tó ń ṣàlàyé níbí báyìí ni pé níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn, ìyẹn Secretary of State ìgbà yẹn ó ní òun gbà pé to put Nigeria together in a large and powerful state for ample material resources. Ṣé mọ̀ pé gbogbo gbàlá máa ní wọ́n kó nǹkan mùdùmùdù wá, wọ́n kó lọ, níbo ló ń kó lọ? It goes all over the world today. Kò síbi tí kò kí ń dé. It travels from one end to the other, whether from continent to continent. The crude oil leaves the offshore of Nigeria. It travels to different parts of the globe. But when the resources that we have sold, the forex is meant to come back to Nigeria, but it gets stuck, as we saw with the 5 billion Tabata Koje, nígbà tó wà lórí oyè, and many more like that, and Babangida or Obasanjo, they're all criminals. And many other resources like our gold near Osun State that end up at United Arab Emirates, as many other resources that many of us should have been of benefit. All these was part of what was agreed. That Taba Magbe in Kotonpe in Nigeria, it has to be large, it has to be a powerful state. But how can it be a powerful state? Tiko Banini in Temamaterayimole. Because they knew, the British knew that for them to create that entity known as Nigeria, there will be evil, there will be force of people that want to stumble on each other as it's happening today in Nigeria. So, one witness lady, one power, one shewaleshe, one this. The British knew, because it is stated here, according to this article of July 15, 1998, that says that during the negotiation for independence of Nigeria, in Tori Nipe, the view of the Secretary of State, Nijono Long, at the time, with which I agreed, was that in Nigeria, we should attempt to put together together, but for purpose for material resources, that's all I can say, and I'm going to move forward. Below in the comment section, it will involve forcing several different ethnic and cultural groups. So níbo ni America representative ti wá rí Nigerian culture, because we are now told that in tó lè jẹ́ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé wọ́n máa láti gbé oríṣiríṣi. It was never mentioned as tribes. Wọ́n ní ethnic and cultural groups. Ọmọ Igbo, ọmọ Yorùbá, ọmọ Hausa, ọmọ Ìṣẹ̀kírì, ọmọ Edo, wọ́n máa kó gbogbo wọn papọ̀. Bó bá wù wọ́n kó gbọ́, bó bá wù wọ́n kó má gbọ́, kó bá dìgbà ọdún mẹ́rin, ẹ tó bá fẹ́ jẹra wọn lẹ́sẹ̀ ńbẹ̀ kó jẹra wọn lẹ́sẹ̀. And that has been that shithole country tí wọ́n pọ́nlé. Àwọn tó negotiate, àwọn tó put it together, wọ́n mọ̀ pé àfẹ́ ní gbọ́ra wa yé, especially ọmọ Yorùbá sọmọ Yorùbá, because ọmọ Yorùbá kan ní sọ ń tako èmi. Only tèmi sọ kò make sense, but we'll come back to that section. But it will involve ó máa ní nǹkan ṣe pẹ̀lú forcing. Ó mọ tán pè ní force. Force mean pé bó fẹ́ bó kọ̀ intabasọ ló máa ṣe. And that has been the narrative. That is why today ní UK àwa máa wọ military outfit. War, first speaking war, mo ń wọ̀ látara pé mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ UK military fún iṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe níta àti tó ń ṣe nínú ilé, good or bad. But ní Nigeria, even if you love your Nigerian military, nẹ́tọ̀ láti wọ Nigerian camouflage, because that is what British created. Àwọn create system yẹn pé kó work fún tiwọn, but what created kó work fáwa. The negotiations were complex. The negotiations were complex and very difficult. That is the issue when we are saying this current Nigeria, if we don't allow it to dissolve, in Tombo, like my sister Yorubawi said during that program that I just watched this morning, Omale and politicians, some of you, pátá yín àti ọ́ndísì yín àti singlet yín ẹ ti jáde sí títì kó tó máa sọ pé honourable wọ́ṣọ no òun ti gbọ́ pé wọ́n náà ti ń bọ̀. You might think it's not going to happen. The issue that we are facing today, not just the insecurity, the ìyànjẹ tẹ́ ń ṣe fáwọn èèyàn wọ́n ń bọ̀ wá bá yín. Ilé ìṣòro Yorùbá nation àwọn èèyàn ń bọ̀ wá bá yín. The negotiations were complex and very difficult. The chief problem, as I remember, relating significantly to the control of the police and the military. Okay, the British knew that the negotiation of Nigeria, talamawa gbé ọlọ́pàá àti military lé lọ́wọ́. Ẹ má gbé fáwọn Yorùbá, they are too intelligent. Tẹ́ bá gbé ọlọ́pàá àti military lé Yorùbá lọ́wọ́, they would be able to then make sure that our material resources ta fẹ́ jí nínú Nàìjíríà, ta fẹ́ send lọ sí gbogbo àgbáyé, káwa lè máa fi ṣọlá, ká máa fi ṣọrọ̀. They will not allow that to happen. Then wọ́n wá jókòó padà pé kí la máa wá ṣe? What do we do? Ìtọ́ wá ṣe ni pé ẹ jẹ́ ká gbé fún àwọn Gàmbàrí. Àwọn Gàmbàrí yẹn àwọn ọ̀kàwé, ṣé o mọ̀ pé àwọn Yorùbá wá lákàwé? Wẹ́rẹ́. I was listening to Bode George this afternoon. Halfway through. We are well read. No, you were all read, but the North stumbled on you. That is why Iru Babangida and Buhari were able to take charge of Nigeria in the 80s because Babangida and Buhari were trained by the British in sandals, just like Obasanjo and many of them. So one more way, talk back before Yoruba will do the needful. Oma leto today, even up to today, lower population and olopoju nino Nigerian security. Even up to any part of the security, as I'm not talking about Amotekun, I'm talking about your Navy, your armed forces, your NIA, whatever position. Ẹ lọ wo àwọn tó pọ̀ jù níbẹ̀. Ẹ rí pé kò ń ṣọmọ Yorùbá ló pọ̀ jù níbẹ̀. Àwọn northerners tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń ṣe Haúsá, àwọn Fúlàní, àwọn lọ́pọ̀ níbẹ̀. That is why some of you applied. You want to be a Navy. No. Don't give Yoruba people. But the northerners tó bá fẹ́ ṣe military, a kò lọ sọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀mí àwọn Ades sọ fún pé yes, ó ní ẹ̀tọ́ láti wọnú military nítorí pé àdéhùn àti tí èmi àti British jọ negotiate nígbà tó fẹ́ fún wa ní independent nìyẹn. The negotiations were complex and very difficult. The chief problem, as I remember, relating significantly to the control of the police and the military. Whoever controls those two owns that country. Whether you agree with the dissolution of Nigeria or not, ta ló ń control military. You think that Tinubu is in charge. He's not in charge. Some of you think that Tinubu is in charge of the military because he has put Egbetokun there. Maybe he might be in charge of the police. Egbetokun ma gbọ́ràn sí. Never, never, the military will never be loyal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Their loyalty stand with Sultan of Sokoto. That is the leader and the president in disguise of Nigeria. In the retrospect of 40 years, it is clear that this was a grave mistake which has cost many lives and will probably continue to do so. 1998, local article Ijade. I'm just saying it for the first time. How many of such eléyìí ni mo rí lábẹ́ article yìí ni ọmọ Biafra kan post nǹkan kan sábẹ́ nínú comment section ló fún mi ní another insight of what we are going to discuss today. Eléyìí gangan ni mo rí. You know what Nnamdi Kanu has been able to do, hate him or like him? He has been able to do as good research of who they are. And that is why I say that British more. Thank you so much. One retrospective here is backwardness. Rather than Nigeria moving forward, our one person but that is exactly what is happening. And thank you so much. And alone that I have a lot of people that are well read and understand what I'm talking about. That's all I will say. Now, Nnamdi Kanu, in tó ṣe fáwọn ọmọ Biafra ni pé ó kọ́kọ́ educate wọn dáadáa nípa ìdí tí wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ disagree pẹ̀lú British tó create Nigeria tó tún wá fund Nigeria láti bá wọn jà Biafra war fún ọdún mẹ́ta tó pa àwọn èèyàn wọn. Over 5 million people died. Genocide. Ṣé mo báwo jagun rí? Àwa wà so comfortable. Ìyẹn la ṣe ń disagree pẹ̀lú wọn at the beginning. Because I can't work with, why is Nnamdi Kanu talking like this? It is one Nigeria now. We will fix it. We will. No. Nnamdi Kanu mọ̀ pé lè fix it tí British create because ó ti ní ìtọ́gbélé àwọn kan lọ́wọ́ tó máa yan àwa tó kù jẹ òun ni military àti police. Now, the Biafra, I was with Simon Ekpa, the PM, government in exile, as he was visiting Italy yesterday. Ó sọ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tó dúró dáadáa. Wọ́n tún á mọ̀ nísìn pé kò ń ṣe sugar cane àti flag la máa fi máa ṣe Biafra nation mọ́. Wọ́n wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ra ìbọn. They were buying weapons to defend themselves. Wọ́n ra ìbọn débi pé wọ́n need more finance to buy more weapons because that is the only option to defend themselves. Because nígbà tó ń lo flag, the military ti British gbélé Nigeria lọ́rùn. Wọ́n ní kó lọ máa pa àwọn ọmọ Biafra, ẹ pa wọ́n. That is why they wanted to kill Nnamdi Kanu in 2017. Ọlọ́run ló yọ tó sá lọ. Just like Igboho was going to be killed. I spoke to Igboho this morning. Baba Gonte Shejini. Don't ask me what the conversation is all about. Okay? It's private. But Alafia and Babawa. Oh yes, it's currently in Benin Republic. We've all seen that. There's nothing to talk about more than that. Now, the Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu was say, if you don't give us Biafra, we will destroy that Nigeria the British create. If it doesn't learn here, don't allow a peaceful disintegration. You think the Biafra, Charita Aban joke, I want Biafra or joke. Clement Moriembe. I want Biafra. I want it back there or to one lay. It is good. Either we get Biafra or nothing. Shema power, I want not do roton, but I want to feel all shit. But àwọn Biafra ni àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ pọ̀lọ́kọ́ lélẹ̀. They are putting everything in place. No, Simon Ekpa said during the engagement with the Italy visit yesterday that they will do everything diplomatic to push Nigeria into where Nigeria will fall into their trap. And Nigeria is already falling into their trap. Only if they are shouting Simon Ekpa, it's not about Simon Ekpa. They were shouting Nnamdi Kanu before like that. Until they kidnap rendition in Nnamdi Kanu. One in Nnamdi Kanu is the good guy. Because you put somebody in the DSS custody and you are saying that Nnamdi Kanu is not a good guy. So Simon Ekpa is now like the obstacle. Simon Ekpa wants to suffer more Biafra, but I am not the obstacle. It is you, the Biafra, that is the obstacle. But I am just that person that is ready to finish the job. Let everybody come back to the round table and forget about what the British did on each one of us. The government will defeat them. British government could not defeat the IRA. Go and look back to the history. British, they could not defeat the IRA. They end up allowing them to go. Allow Biafra and Yoruba to go. If the North are not ready, make this up on law. There's nothing you can do. Let's go back again to the discussion. In the retrospect, and somebody have told me is backwardness. So let me just use backwardness because in the backwardness of 40 years, it is now clear that this was a grave mistake which has cost many lives and will probably continue to do so. It would have been better to establish very smaller state in a free trade area. In the British Obashe after the slave trade, they could have created all those smaller regions to have their own independence. Have Yoruba country there and trade with them in whatever. Have a donation, trade with them. You will, even if you are marginalizing us, we will have no option than to start negotiating for that today, rather than now still talking about being in Nigeria that is about to collapse, because Nigeria will collapse. If that over collapse like Timo, inshallah, it will collapse. There's no amount of your prayer from your God that is going to rescue Nigeria. The only thing that God would do right now is to listen more and make sure that anything won't daru katomalo. Article imagine that 40 years they are now saying that it was a grave mistake. British can still correct it. It is not too late. British is still correct this damage. But as a British citizen, totally relinquishing Nigerian passport. And the British government is putting their eyes away. Simon Ekpa to deliver Biafra for them. That is just my own prayer. Whatever the ban sa, lot to no see, kò ní bá níbi kíbi tó bá wà àtìyàn àtàwọn tó jọ jẹ́ àmẹ̀wẹ́ tó jọ ń ṣèjọba yẹn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Máa sọ pé, how can he be a prime minister? I am older than Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak, the prime minister of the UK, I am older than him. That means that èmi náà lè jẹ́ prime minister ilẹ̀ Yorùbá lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. That is what it is. Tó bá jẹ́ pé Nàìjíríà dání, ó jẹ́ káwa máa sọ pé a fẹ́ jẹ́ president, but ó lè jẹ́ president because that system is not created for we the Yoruba people. Kó lúkàlùkù máa lọ. Ó ń bọ̀. Ẹ máa sọ pé mò ń jágbe, sọ pé they play. Because the man sọ nìyẹn, it is coming. Ó ń lòdì lọ́wọ́ díẹ̀díẹ̀ ni. Ṣé eré ìtẹ̀wà nílé? Ẹ fọkàn balẹ̀. Ṣé eré ẹ̀jẹ̀ ká kọ́kọ́ fún yín ní information dáadáa kó sink sára yín so that by the time tá a bá sọ pé ó ti yá, everybody máa gbéra. But tí bá sọ pé ó ti yá nísìn, àwọn kan tún máa ní Koiki kò yé mi. Because the British are also regretting it. But kò ń ṣe British institution, the individual kankan tó mọ̀ nípa the progress and how Nigeria was created. Àwọn ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé àti ṣe mistake. But British are very, very very proud. What proud did you kilo dalelo? Very proud people, especially their system. They don't want to accept mistake. And this mistake can cost so much as things are going right now. When it's going to happen, don't ask me. Okudie. Let's go further. It would have been better to establish several smaller states in a free trade area. Iceland is doing very well. Norway is arrogant. Not even proud. Arrogant. What arrogance here? Very, very arrogant. What they were proud anyway as well. One man fi pe àwọn nìkan ni kò séyàn bí àwọn. Pé kò séyàn bí àwọn irọ́ dẹ̀ ni. Mẹ́wàá wà bí tiwọn kò séyàn bí ọba Ọlọ́run nìkan ló ń sọ. Very arrogant. I live with them for 24 years. Èyí tó kù mo ń tọ́jú ẹ̀ pamọ́ fún inú ìwé mi tí bá máa kọ̀wé mi. I have not drafted anything, I have not penned anything down, but ó wà lórí mi nígbà tásìkò yẹn bá tó. Tí o mọ̀ pé mi ti gbé pẹ̀lú wọn, àwọn kan dẹ̀ ti yọ gbé pẹ̀lú wọn náà, a jọ gbé pẹ̀lú wọn níbí báyìí. But èmi lèmi sọ my own personal story pẹ̀lú British. Màá sọ fún yín. But díẹ̀díẹ̀ màá sọ my 24 years in this country. Mo ní 15 years ni wọ́n fi ṣe ìkà pé kí n má rí ìwé gbà nílùú yìí. 15 years. Àwọn tó dé lánàá tó ń commit crime, wọ́n fún wọn níwèé. Àwọn tó commit crime, wọ́n fún wọn níwèé. Àwa ta ní afẹ́kọ̀ gbé níbí báyìí ká ṣe dáadáa pẹ̀lú wọn. Ṣé bí nǹkan tí bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ sọ fún wọn nìyẹn pé àwa la máa jọ́rẹ̀ yín náà. Ẹ má gbé agbára fáwọn North. Àwọn North ò kì í ṣọ̀rẹ́ yín. Àwa Yorùbá gangan ni ọ̀rẹ́ yín. Àwa gangan la nífẹ̀ẹ́ yín. British náà wọn ò gbà. Ó gbé agbára lé wọn lọ́wọ́. Agbára yẹn ni wọ́n ń lò lénìí tí Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ máa kẹ́ Tinubu níwọ̀nba tó máa rí tiẹ̀ ṣe. Torí pé ara ni wọ́n, ara ń kan wọ́n pẹ̀lú pé Tinubu wà níbẹ̀ tó kọ̀ jọmọ Yorùbá. Mo sọ fún yín pé ní rí pa gbogbo ọ̀nà tẹ́ bá ń gbà pé máa pa Tinubu ní rí pa but Yorùbá máa bọ́ nínú wàhálà tí British kó wá sí ó kù díẹ̀. In exculpation, mo mọ mi ní nǹkan tó mean òyìnbó ńláńláńlá. It must be said that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of the Soviet Union before our eyes. In terms of pé tó bá jẹ́ pé àwọn mọ̀ pé irú Yugoslavia náà máa wá pín tó máa di oríṣiríṣi ìlú. Tó bá jẹ́ pé àwọn mọ̀ pé irú Soviet Union máa wá pín, ó jẹ́ kí àwọn lè pín Nàìjíríà náà sí smaller states. Tolúkálukú máa ṣèjọba ẹ̀. Tolúkálukú máa wà lọ́wọ́ ara ẹ̀ tí kò ní sí wàhálà, tí kò ní sí ìdààmú. Ìdààmú tá à ń rí lẹ́ni kò ń ṣe ìdààmú pé wọ́n ń ṣàṣeyàn. Ìdààmú pé British create Nàìjíríà òun ló ń dààmú gbogbo wa. Láti 63 years of that fake independence and the fraudulent amalgamation. But òun expect pé kí politician kó máa ṣàlàyé lè fún ẹ. Àwọn ò ní ṣàlàyé ibi táwọn ti máa jalè tó ti máa jínú ẹ̀ làwọn fẹ́. Wọ́n tún ní lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. It must be said that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of Soviet Union ní ojú wa. Àwọn ò rí tẹ́lẹ̀ rí. Because what ti create Nigeria kí ọ̀rọ̀ Yugoslavia àti Soviet Union kó tó máa pop up. Nígbà wo di Soviet Union? 1991. Nígbà wo di Yugoslavia? About 1993. Ṣòrí pé yàtọ̀ yẹn wà. Ṣòrí pé that is a clear one because Yugoslavia was also one country, but elédè ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ní gbogbo wọn, they are not happy. There's something on affect gbogbo wọn, and eventually it has to be folded up. Lẹ́ni olúkàlùkù ti lọ nílò ẹ̀. But many of you do not want to accept that Nigeria needs to dissolve so that those smaller units of nations can pop up from Edo nation, from Ijo nation, from Biafra nation. You are still talking about Nigeria, about how to fix Nigeria. You will all die trying to fix Nigeria. Let me tell you what my favorite doctor told us in this small write-up I met on his timeline. Not everybody will be able to travel out of Nigeria. That is why some of us are fighting on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis under the leadership of Professor Adebanjo Akintoye to remind you that nothing good is coming out of that shit hole country. This is what he wrote. You can't double your hustle. Wàhálà tẹ́ ń ṣe lójoojúmọ́, a máa rí nǹkan ṣe, Ọlọ́run máa jẹ́ rí tèmi ṣe ní Nàìjíríà, irọ́ ló ń pa. Kò sẹ́ni kankan tó lè rí tiẹ̀ ṣe because the country is strangulated economic-wise. You can't double your hustle out of a bad economy. You can't work harder your way in a failing country. The more money you make, the more useless it is in terms of what you can do with it. Kò sí àgbàrá owó tó wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ nínú Nàìjíríà lénìí, ó ti di tissue paper, ó ti di rubbish, kò sí value fún wọn, kò sí olówó gan lénìí nínú Nàìjíríà, ara ń kan, ara ń ní. Do you know how much Dangote is losing in that shithole country on a daily basis? Even though we know how he was able to make his money. Kàmá tí wàá sọ àwa mẹ̀kúnnù, all these smaller people that are struggling. Tí bá fún ẹ ní 1 million naira lénìí, tí ilé ọ̀la máa fi mọ́, ó tún gbọ́dọ̀ pè mí pé Mr. Koiki, ó dà pé máa tún bá wá another 1 million. Omodi, it is not your fault. I will explain to you according to this. The more money you make, the more useless it is in terms of what you can do with it. 1 million naira in 2024 cannot do what 200,000 naira can do 10 years ago in 2014. If you doubt me, check this out. In 2014, 200,000 naira was just under $930. But today, 2024, thank you so much. I don't want to be going through the comments. I can see it coming up. I want to focus with the discussion. So if you put a comment out, I'm not going to read it out. But if I say anything, I might pick on it because there's still so much I need to cover up before the time goes very fast. But good afternoon to everyone. Thumbs up, share, invite many people. That's all you can do for me. I've not asked you to donate or give me money. In 2024, the same 1 million naira is now $750. So Tiba sell the $750 to you today in Nigeria. I have my specimen, and these are original apart from the pounds. And hopefully I will have original pounds that I can be using, but I don't have enough to cover. So if I send $750 to you in Nigeria, Tiba send the $750 to you today, you will get about 1 million. But in 2014, the same $930 was only giving you $200,000, 200,000 naira. This is another reminder. If you know a pathway you can take, if the money for processing is not an issue, please leave Nigeria. This is what this man is saying. And like I always say to you as well, if you have the means to japa, please do so. But what about everybody that can japa? Can I take all my family out? This is the reason why I should not be tired to continue to enlighten and educate many of my people on why we should believe in Yoruba nation as against that shithole that British created, that is creating havoc and creating evil for each and every one of us. I cannot say the truth and be telling you lies. Anybody telling you to work harder, and double your hustle, as many of you they hustle. And hustle. But your hustle to double it, is like in a sinking economy. Hates you and wishes you evil in life. But double your hustle in Nigeria today, hates you and is wishing you evil in your life. Whatever that means to you, just take it like that. When you have made so much money for yourself and you have secured the future of your children, just like my mom saw that future for me in 1998 to leave Nigeria. How your parents did see it, I don't know, and I'm not blaming them. But my mom saw that future. She left Nigeria on a japa in 90s. And she worked hard to make sure that she can put all her children out of that shithole country so that we can have at least a better future. Not all my brothers accepted it, but I'm talking about my siblings. But on our own side, my mom pulled us out Because the same thing that Alakunle saw is what I am enjoying today, at least to some extent. And this is now something that is affecting me because I want many of you to also have the same benefit as my children are currently in school. They've been given food in the school. They are going to come back home. There will be food in the house. There will be warmth in the house. Read the same thing in that shithole country called Nigeria. But some of your siblings, your friends that are living abroad are deceiving you that you should work hard and pray. Hey, what God cannot do does not exist. When you have made so much money for yourself and you have secured the future of your children, you can come back to Nigeria to contribute your quota to its development if there is still a country to come back to after these criminals leave power. That is if they leave power. So for now, if you know you are struggling and you still have the means, leave now. Again, to be clear, in case you don't know, you can't double your hustle out of a bad economy that no production was going on for the last 63 years because the British did not want Yoruba people to progress. It's as simple as that. We were meant to be their friends, but they were so arrogant. They were so proud. They gave the power in the 60s, in the 14th century, or the 19th century rather, to the Northerners. That is the consequence tí gbogbo àjọ ń face lẹ́ni nísìn. Kò ń ṣe pé bàbá kan ló ṣe é. In tó ń ṣe lẹ́ni is known as Nigeria. They say at the play, I am 3,000 miles away. I have eaten, I have drank water, I am just waiting for the next meal. Let's go back to that report. And then I will then read it out again without any so let's finish it up. So one now one regret. Yugoslavia no máa wá pín. Irú Soviet Union máa wá pín. Àwọn máa pín Nigeria now. Àwọn máa pín sí kékèké tó lúkàlùkù máa dá wà. 35 million Yoruba people are more than enough to have their own country. Just like Iceland that played football with the England on Wembley Stadium over the weekend, they are not up to 500,000. What they in and they have an economy that is buoyant and that is strong. And so when I go to Iceland as a country, the population is 382,000 as of 2022. Let's look at their GDP. Their GDP as of today stand at $28 billion US. A country that is not up to 400,000. Omo Yoruba dem binu pa pariwo Yoruba nation because only Koiki as the enemy rather than see those that are holding your life back as the enemy. What in Kima Buimo? That is why I'm raising that voice because you can feel bully lorini. But mom see me bend me gone at Yaomi, we can job. We can have any Pokémon. And me as the enemy. Èmi tẹ́mi gbádùn níbi tí mo wà yìí tí mo lè forget about gbogbo tó ń lọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà tí màá máa ṣayé mi lọ tí màá máa ìwọ̀nba tí bá lè ṣe. And I'll cut my code according to my side. In tí bá dé lè support mi lè màá support. Èmi lè wá ń rí as enemy. Ìgbòho lè rí as enemy. Ẹ rí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá as the enemy. See yín? When we are shouting and saying that Ati wà ní danger and we should exist now. Tọ́ba ní kẹ́ lọ vote nísìn ẹ tún yọ PVC. Ẹ fẹ́ lọ vote when everybody should be demanding, and I hope the NLC comes out again. Èmi ń gbàdúrà pé gbogbo tó máa da Nàìjíríà rú lèmi ń tọ́lọ́run pé kó jẹ́ kó ṣẹlẹ̀. Nǹkan kan ló máa trigger that spirit in every one of us. NLC ẹ padà sí strike. Tinubu ò ní ráyè dá ti yín lóhùn tẹ́ máa fi padà sí strike. Wọ́n ò ní rójú ti ṣe. Demand for more money. Only the politicians in it, they cannot be earning more and doing less. They cannot be earning more and be doing less. Nítorí pé only the one. How can they be taking more money than the real workers that are Nigerians today? Go back and shut down everything. Oh my affect me no. Oh my affect you no. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣe máa rí. That time is moving and that collapse will eventually come true. Ó kù díẹ̀ ni. Let's go back to that article. It should now be clear for all, but the willful blind to see that it is extremely dangerous to force diverse racial and social entities into a single rigged political structure, such as that which is being built upon the foundation in the Maastricht Treaty. Recent history suggests that it would be best to complete the development of the common market and to call it a halt to a political integration in Europe. I am, sir, your obedient servant, Peter Smitha. He was the parliamentary private secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of State in the colonial office of 1952 and 1959. Nígbà tó ń ṣe ètò bí wọ́n ṣe máa gbé Nàìjíríà padà sí independent. Máa sọ pé the joke. This is the information that we need to continue to share, to sink in the brain of you and me. So I'm going to read it now without no more explanation around it. Powerful newspaper. It was a Wednesday, July 15, 1998, and it goes like this. Nigerian lesson from Sir Peter Smithers. Sir Peter Smithers was the parliamentary private secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of the State in the colonial office from 1952, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Those of you on Instagram, let me go in and come back quickly. A very good afternoon and welcome to my live transmission on the Yoruba Nation, on the reason why Yoruba people should now exit Nigeria before Nigeria sink every single one of us into what we don't want it to look like. Nigerian lesson. Sir, during the negotiation for the independence of Nigeria, the view of the Secretary of State at that time, with which I agree, was that in Nigeria, we should attempt to put together a large and powerful state with ample material resources, which would play a leading part in the affairs of the continent and of the world. This was attractive, but it involved forcing several different ethnic and cultural groups into a single political structure. The negotiations were complex and very difficult. The chief problem, as I remember, relating significantly to the control of the police and the military. In the backwardness of 40 years, it is clear that this was a grave mistake, which has cost many lives, and will probably continue to do so. It would have been better to establish very smaller states like Yoruba Nation, Biafra Nation, Hausa Nation, Edo Nation, and many other nations in a free trade area. In the exculpation, it must be said that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of the Soviet Union before our eyes. It should now be clear. It should now be clear for all but the willfully blind to see that it is extremely dangerous to force diverse racial and social entities into a single rigged political structure such as that which is being built upon the foundation of the Maastricht Treaty. Recent history suggests that it would be the best to complete the development of the common market and to call a halt to a political integration Europe. I am, sir, your obedient servant, Peter Smithers, Parliamentary Private Secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of State in the Colonial Office from 1952 to 1959. Now, when I saw these, like I said, then a Biafra posted something underneath this particular, article that I picked up on the X. And there I saw another one. The British High Commissioner during the early years of an independent Nigeria. And I read it. And I was like, wow. Why we keep talking about Lugard all the time? Lord Lugard, 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 Lugard. But there were also many individuals that were involved during and after, especially as the Biafra war was going on with the Nigeria sponsor, supported by the British. So what I'm about to read to you, the article itself is about 11 years old. The man himself died at age of 101. At first, he did not want to grant an interview. But before he died, he called for an interview. And this is what he said about Nigeria. He was the former British High Commissioner during that early years. But for me to tell you who he is, the first thing is to give you his background. And that way, you would have, or we would have, a better understanding of who this individual that we're going to talk about is. Because the British, as at that time, they were very powerful. It was an empire. That empire worked for them for over 200 years. Out of that empire, Nigeria was also created. So let's go into Francis Hoover Tolo Kumi Bruce, the 8th Baron of Tolo. Francis Edward Hoover Tolo Kumi Bruce, the 8th Baron of Tolo, KCMG, was born on the 9th of March 1912, 2 years just before the fraudulent 1914 amalgamation. He died not too long ago on the 24th of March 2013. I wish I knew him before he died, so that maybe I would have been able to visit him. But I was here hustling, trying to survive, and sending half of my money to Nigeria that never worked, as many people, to make sure they can survive. Was a British diplomat. He was the last surviving former British colonial governor of the Bahamas. Tolo was the second son of the Reverend Charles Hoover Tolo Kumi Bruce, the 6th Baron Tolo, and the grandson of the Liberal politician Thomas Hoover Tolo Kumi Bruce, the 5th Baron Tolo, who served as the Paymaster General under William Edward Gustin. In 1971, he succeeded his elder brother as the 8th Baron Tolo. Biography. Tolo was educated at the Shrewsbury School and the Trinity College, Cambridge, where he graduated to a Master of Arts. Tolo was a civil servant at the Department of Agriculture in Scotland from 1935 to 1937, through the period of the World War II. Was secretary at the British High Commission in the New Zealand from 1939 to 1944, and also in Canada from 1944 to 1945. Remember that the British were moving them from one end to the other, just as we had many that was brought into Nigeria, taken out until Lugard came in. But he also was the main British High Commissioner. We'll get to that in a minute. He was a private secretary to the Secretary of the State for Commonwealth Relations. Don't let anybody fool you about one shit-hole Commonwealth. Shit-hole, I call it. Shit-hole. We are Commonwealth citizens. Go and apply and say you just want to come to UK as a Commonwealth citizen and visit all your stolen artifacts by the British right close to me in Holborn. And you're told to go to Onikon and go and see, wow, the Shagari Mercedes that is there. As we know, it was moved from one end to the other. As at 1947 to 1949, then Chancellor to the British High Commissioner in New Delhi, India, from 1949 to 1952. He became advisor to the governor of the Gold Coast in 1955. That is about Ghana. Ghana was Gold Coast before it was now known as Ghana. When the colony became independent as Ghana in 1957, he was appointed British First Deputy High Commissioner there, moving on to becoming the Deputy High Commissioner in Canada in 1959. He also served as the High Commissioner to the New Zealand from 1959 to 1963. As the High Commissioner to Nigeria, the Zoo shithole country, from 1963 to 1966, which was a very crucial time as the British was involved in the fight to kill millions of innocent murdered children that are known as Igbos or call themselves Biafra. British sponsored that killing. Deputy Undersecretary of the State at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in 1964, and then as the Governor of the Bahamas from 1968 to 1972. After retiring from service, he was appointed chairman of the Institute of Comparative Study of History, which history, Philosophy and Science in 1975. Now, he died in England at the age of 101 years old. Personal life, Tolo married Yvonne Diana Wilson on 11th of August 1949. They had 4 children. Now, let's dive into that interview he granted Because while he was going from one point to the other, he never wrote so much memo, but he eventually gave an interview, just like that Englishman that died, the Harold Wilson, that told us that the British rigged the election in 1959. The British created the censor that the North are using today to deceive every Nigerian that they are more than us. Those were part of what the British created as at the period when we were all contesting to become, independent, that Awolowo would have won, but British never want that to happen. So let's dive into it. The headline says, Lord Tolo obituary. British High Commissioner during the early years of an independent Nigeria. I sometimes wonder whether I did the right thing in keeping Nigeria together. Did you hear that? Have you ever listened to this before? That the former British High Commissioner, we normally talk about Lugard, but we didn't even know that there was another man that had maybe the opportunity to have allowed Nigeria to dissolve, because Lugard worked in the 1914, but this one came in just after Lugard, but they had the opportunity to have stopped that shit old country, but they are not stopping it because they are all part of the game. I sometimes wonder whether I did the right thing in keeping Nigeria together. This remarkable statement was made in 2007 by Lord Tolo, who has died age 101. As Sir Francis Kumi Brute, that is his name, he was a British High Commissioner in Nigeria during the worst crisis in the country's existence. This occurred at the end of July 1966, when the short-lived military government of General Johnson Agui Ironsi was overthrown in a bloody counter-coup that seriously imperiled the unity of Nigeria, with both northern and eastern region threatening to secede. So you can see why the north and the east, they will never be one. So for those of you that are saying, oh, we keep the Igbo together in Nigeria, but we can only marginalize them. Really? We see how it goes. God spares our lives to witness the upcoming collapse of the last British Empire known as Nigeria. The only hope for preserving Nigeria came from the apolitical and inexperienced Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon. He was so much inexperienced. But we now know that the British and America gave him the support. We will see that in the write-up here. So an inexperienced, incompetent person like the Lieutenant, inexperienced Colonel Yakubu Gowon, a very old man, he will not die, but he will witness as two countries pull out. If the rest doesn't want to pull out, they can keep Nigeria as a name, and we will trade with them if we think it is worth trading with them. Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, who was the favorite candidate of the rank and the file of the army, the majority of whom came from the minority ethnic groups in the north. The minority. They are minority telling us now that they are the majority. But I have educated Yoruba people that will be coming and be talking nonsense, defending nonsense, called Nigeria. Let's continue. There was an important group of top Nigerian civil servants and lawyers who pressed strongly for preserving unity and whose influence was paramount. Some accounts stressed that the British and the Americans helped Gowon find the resolve to accept the duty of power being pressed upon him. But it would be presumptuous to attribute of country salvation to one individual. In 2007, interview with myself and another writer, Michael Gold, Tolo explained that he had written to the northern emirs to stress how unwise it would be for the North to secede. They are begging them not to go. But he also told of his own 2-hour face-to-face discussion with Gowon that may have been decisive in ending the 3-day vacuum power that July. There were many factors over the next 4 years that helped forge Nigerian unity, but those 2 hours were seminal in the country's history, a critical moment of high-octane turbulence in the Kumi Bruce otherwise smoothly unremarkable career. It was the second of the 4 sons, the elder of the twins of the 6th Baron, Tolo, educated at Shrewsbury. I already told you all that already. I already told you how he started his career. So I'm just jumping now. In 1963, Nigeria was already in crisis with treason trials and disputed elections. And in 1966, January, experienced his first coup, all of which Kumi Bruce took in his stride with his customary sang-froid. But the July 1966 crisis demanded a measure of firm action, although in his diplomatic cables, Kumi Bruce expressed doubt about Lieutenant Gowon's ability to stay in power, faced with a series of massacres in the north. It was left to his successor, Sir David Hunt. This Sir David Hunt, I will tell you a little bit about him as well, because I've been able to do a cross-check of Sir David Hunt as well. There's even an information that I have to retrieve, but I have to pay about £8.99 to get this information about him. Sir David Hunt, is another individual that was also, part of what we can call Nigeria. So from 1967 to 1969, he served as High Commissioner to Nigeria. Frederick Foster, then a journalist in Nigeria and later successful novelist, described Hunt as a snob and guess what? As a racist. At one chance, one chance. We come back to Sir David Hunt. Let's finish with the High Commissioner that we are treating right now before we come back to Sir David Hunt. So, about Gowon's ability to stay in power, faced with a series of massacres in the north, it was left to his successor. Successor means pé ẹni tó máa gba ipò lọ́wọ́ òun. So ẹni tó máa gba ipò yẹn, òun náà pè ní Sir David Hunt, tí ka ìtàn ẹ̀ tó sọ pé racist ni. Have we not all experienced racist, especially àwọn tá à ń gbé ní UK? Kò ń ṣe lénìí. So imagine, as at that time, what they will be doing and dealing with our Yoruba people níjọ́ náà long. You can see why ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá tẹ́ ẹ sọ pé ẹ fẹ́ Nàìjíríà o lè understand because o tí get the message yẹn dáadáa. I get ẹ̀ ó kù díẹ̀. Now, while tóun fẹ́ lọ, Sir David Hunt to earn the full tension in the Britain-Nigeria relation that came with the 1967 outbreak of the Civil War. In 1967, Kumi Bruce moved to a more placid waters of the Bahamas as governor and commander-in-chief, succeeding his elder brother, Harry, to the Tolo peerage. So, he moved out of Nigeria while another one was coming in. Tani wọ́n wá ń pè ní Sir David Hunt. While I was trying to get something out of him, it took me to the National Archive. And he says, before you start, please know that the record copying service is not a research service. We will allow 15 minutes per page to check, to identify, and the cost of information required. Before placing a page check, you need to have a reasonable expectation that the selected document will contain the information you require. The relevant information will be easily inevitable. If your inquiry is speculative, your page check is unlikely to be successful. So what they are saying to me is that for me to get a retrieve information that I need of this man, I first have to pay the National Archive £8.40. You can see why media is cheap. If I need to even collect something under freedom of information like I did with the Oriolokun, it cost me money. I mean, some of these things, that's why I say media is cheap. But let's go find out about who this other man is. David Hunt is a diplomat as well. Also a Nigerian High Commissioner working for the colony. Hunt was born in Durham and studied at Wadham College in Oxford. He served with distinction in the World War II, entered the diplomatic service in 1947. He served also as a private secretary to the Prime Minister Clement Attlee and Winston Churchill, and was knighted in 1963, 3 years after British created that fraudulent independence for Nigeria. But from 1965 to 1967, he was the British High Commissioner to Cyprus. Then from 1967 to 1969, he served as the High Commissioner to Nigeria. Then somebody that knows him, a journalist called Frederick Foist. Frederick Foist is an English novelist and a journalist. He's best known for the thrills such as The Day of Jackal and The Odyssey File, The Fourth Protocol, The Dogs of War, The Devil's Alternative, The Feast of God, and many more like that. This journalist then, told us that the journalist Frederick then told us that this High Commissioner, this criminal High Commissioner, is not just a criminal, is a snob and a racist, representing the diplomatic cause whose betraying incompetent. When the word incompetent comes, you will pick Bola Tinubu, you will pick Buhari, you will pick Sanwo-Olu, you will pick all your governors, you will pick your past governor, you will pick all your incompetent criminal politicians and those that you talk about representing you in that shithole country you all call Nigeria. Incompetent. You are expecting something out of Nigeria, out of the incompetence of so many things that have deprived you of what should have made you a better citizen today. You can never be a better citizen should you remain one Nigeria. The only time they marry better citizenship is when you allow Nigeria to be dissolved as quickly as possible so that we can all have a better place called home. I can't be mentioning names. We're diving into a very serious discussion this afternoon. Let's go further. Now, the real information to Monique Gongon, I won't get it on the Wikipedia, but I'm going to process that and hopefully that will come to me. And when I have that information sent by my email, then I'll be able to explain it of what came back from it. But let's just work with the one that we have, which is to the public domain on Wikipedia. Lori, this other British High Commissioner, so we know that he was a snob, a racist, representing diplomatic corps whose betraying incompetent failed to appreciate or deal with the tension that erupted into the Nigerian Civil War. So definitely, when we are talking about the Civil War today, it was this High Commissioner, the racist, that could have stopped it, that could have said, no, he left it. Just like President Pariwonisi. Nigeria. It is going to load and it is going to be heavy. Nigeria is sitting on the keg of gunpowder. It can be resolved diplomatically. It can be resolved dialogue and negotiation. But continue to say, Tinubu go kill all the Biafrans that are disturbing Nigeria. Tinubu himself cannot kill everything that is called a spirit. If you like, make British give Tinubu more firepower. Let Turkey give them more firepower. Let America give them more firepower. Everybody is going home. We are going on. It's just a matter of when. So we now know that maybe the war could not have happened. Boya war, but it saw the dialogue. Ojuku, you want to go? Because a racist will always be a racist. Some of us have experienced racism in this country. This country is great that have accepted us to live with them, but we have experienced racism and we are still experiencing it up to today. So because you will face racism and you will experience it. I want to experience it. So, but racism did not start today. It started even as far back as this criminal guy allowed Nigerian civil war, which is called the genocidal war that killed 5 million innocent people that should have been alive today or probably should have been remembered, even if they've died. And there was never a memorial for them. And you expect us to live in one country called Nigeria. I'll read that again. From 1967 to 1969, Odumeji, this man known as David Hunt, was the High Commissioner to Nigeria. I want to one more, a journalist told Modada, only he was not just a snob, he was also a racist. He allowed the tension that erupted into the Nigerian Civil War. Òun JB agbẹnusọ fún Britain the journal long, but entobati racist, and they looked at it as, who are the Biafrans? To challenge the, you know how Ajimobi, I'm not going to say colon go for okay, whatever. Remember how he told you in Ibadan? How can you be talking to constitutional authority? Because what believe me, we must follow them, we must listen to them. That is what the British created. So when you see all your politicians today hammering you, subjugation, it all started with somebody like David Hunt. So don't be surprised. So when some of you say you will get the best out of Nigeria, oh, ni ever read the best out of Nigeria. Oh, mama read the evil part of Nigeria. That is why to buy hospital. No, si to eko gunlabere, a kon come obe. And he said to buy gbóyún lọ sí hospital to eko ma be tọ́jú ẹ, come be hey, ẹ ti lóyún, tí yàn bá lóyún tó bá wá sílùú tó bá fẹ́ bímọ. Láti jọ́ tó ti lóyún yẹn ti ṣe jigijigi nínú ilé. Hey, don't do anything too heavy. Don't do kò ń ṣe Nigeria. Ṣé bí mo ní kẹ́ lọ bára yín sùn kẹ́ fi lóyún? We're a country. No sympathy for anybody. Look at how they killed innocent Nigerians with the national anthem. Now they've abandoned that national anthem. They don't want you to remember what happened at Lekki Toll Gate. They now brought in an anthem that British colonizer created for us. You can see that Tinubu is trying with all these criminal gangs in the Senate. Let's go further. So we now know that David Hunt was part of those that allowed the Nigerian Civil War. Some of you that keep blaming, is the Biafra, is Ojukwu? No. Maybe they could have said, okay, Ojukwu, you want to go? Bye-bye, they go. We will keep the rest inside Nigeria, and we will make sure that we cut out the Jebba Bridge. So when we cut out the Jebba Bridge, there will not be link between you and the other people. According to this journalist, Foister, or should I just use the name Frederick? Frederick claimed that David Hunt was responsible for Britain's complete misreading of the war, contributing to the death of millions of Biafrans, particularly starving children. Do you understand what that means? That many of the Yoruba people that are now blaming Ojukwu Oriyokpe, we have a diplomat representing Britain in Nigeria as at that time known as David Hunt. Kilodetiko make every effort for dialogue. Dialogue now, Bola Tinubu. There will be a second civil war in Nigeria if you do not dialogue because the Biafra are going home. It's a fact. Dialogue now. Answer me, dialogue now is not by mouth. Dialogue now. Biafra are going home. This time around, it will be blood for blood. Fight to finish. They are going home. You cannot stop them this time around. They will spend all their life to make sure that Biafra comes and Nigeria will die. So we now know from this information, the former David Hunt, the British diplomat, was involved in the Nigerian Civil War because he was telling lies. Because we now know he's a racist. Racist in it. Racist man, a racist, you go and watch football. It is only now that the uncle me can learn from Baba Tayo. Only Tom stadium. He went to the stadium one time. This is long time before I came here, and they were pouring coke on his head. These Onyibo people, and they were all laughing. From then he said, no. Now it's better. We see everybody go to the stadium. We still get so much. We see them now. Then they call footballer banana. Come and chop banana. Chop banana. That means they're calling us monkey. And those people that do that, they ban them completely from coming to the stadium. There is still racism. Everybody experiences it, especially if you live in Europe. Oh, those Italy side, those Spain, those European countries. Even in England, in UK, there's still racism. But they will be dealt with if you catch them by the law. So we know that David Hunt, a diplomat, told Britain He was giving them a complete misreading. This is information I'm reading. I don't even know. I've never heard about this one before. So this is like another new angle to the movement. Because this time around, so let me continue. As I say, subsequently, beginning in 1969, David Hunt was then also the British ambassador to Brazil, retiring in 1973. Hunt won the mastermind title in 1977 and was the runner-up. I would love to read more because there's not much information about him here. But for me to get that information, I've been told, I'm going to make the payment and I'll wait for them to see if I will be giving those information. Hopefully. Hopefully. So let's come back to the second, towards the end of the program. Our topic, which is going to be first and foremost in our Orilede, we shall seriously revive our national character. Kí ló ń pè ní national character? Kí ni wọ́n ń pè ní national character? You remember we're in the new week, and every week we have a discussion that we're going to talk about. Also, there are so many things I've posted out, how Britain Labour government facilitate the massacre of Biafrans in Nigeria to protect its oil interest. But for now, let's come back home to other discussion of the Yoruba nation. But for now, everything we have read, you can find all the articles and everything inside what I've posted already on all my timeline. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, known as Koikimedia, as we continue to educate and enlighten millions of Yoruba people. So when we say national character, it's referred to shared beliefs or perceptions of personality characteristics common to members of a particular nation, held by members of the nation or by any other group of people. So I'm asking right now, do we have national character with the Igbos? Because we know that the Igbos have something that we don't want to have, just as vice versa. Do we have the same national character with the Hausa people? Oh, we should keep Nigeria so that we can have the same national character with the Fulanis. This is the same national character with the Fulani. I'm asking you, can you have the same national character? Alone in the comment section. Because that is the discussion for the week 4 that we had today, according to Professor Adebanji Akintoye. So when we talk about national character, what does it mean? And what is Baba Akintoye saying about it? It's a very short one. I've done the audio. The audio has been circulated just about Friday, I believe. But this time around, let me read it here as we then start doing as many analyses for the whole week. Many of you agree that no, we don't have it. Yawa Grace Olushoto said no. Bishop Adesina said no, never. Mr. Fab said not at all. Bí àwọn tó kù wọ́n ní national character pẹ̀lú àwọn Igbo. Bí ẹni national character pẹ̀lú àwọn Hausa àtàwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù. Safety Domain says, yes, we already have the same national character. It is called corruption. Because corruption goes in line with every indigenous people. So don't come and defend yourself and try to push the narrative of others. We have Yoruba that are criminals in the Senate and the House, just as we have others that are even worse. So let's read further at what Baba Akintoye said we should use as our engagement. Remember, it is a 95 page. I have printed it out, but I tend to use the one from my laptop, which is called, the prosperity, the good news, path to prosperity in our Orilede Yoruba. If you need a copy, all you need to do is go on my website, www.koikimedia.com, or if you're currently on our timeline, especially on my WhatsApp group, you must have come across it as well. So like I said, this particular one is just like one sheet. But Baba Akintoye said, these are things that we can bounce quickly, explain as much, and then hopefully I will open the phone line because I want Bishop, to call in and then give us, what we've talked about. Thank you so much, my brother Ayuba, known as Triple DRS. I've just seen your coffee bot. Please remember to support this platform. It's an independent platform. It doesn't matter. Your small little money is going to help us. One of my brother that called me this morning said, Mr. Koiki, I'm currently in Nigeria and I appreciate what you're doing. He lives there and he was able to give us something. And within that something, we were able to disburse it as according to who and how he wants me to make use of it. As a personal money, I still have to give as well. I might not give to you, doesn't mean I'm not giving, because I have many people on me on a daily basis. So let's read this out. Then Bishop Mabarakwiwole, I hope he has the time. Please let me know in the comment section, because after I finish reading this, I want you to call in so that you can give us a bit of understanding. The national character, but I'm going to read what Babakitoye wrote first. First and foremost, when we have a country of ours, I'm not talking about the current zoological country called Nigeria right now, we shall seriously revive. What do I mean by revive? Our national character, our omoluabis, our ethos, our who we are. Though we will still have some that will, see problem to know. As soon as our new country, known as Orile-Ede Yoruba, is born, which is not going to be long soon, inshallah, Agbara Jesu Christi, now that as the tempo is down, I can start appreciating you all, but let's stay focused on the message. We are 1 hour, 36 minutes into the program. If you're new to the platform, you probably don't get my notification. It's a deliberate act by those running the social media and those when I talk about Facebook, especially, and probably YouTube as well. But I know that most of you are following us. As soon as Tabatigba country were, our government will immediately begin to lead us Yoruba people to embark on a desperately needed task of reviving the quality of our Yoruba ethics and character. Our 60 years of living as underdogs in the deepening poverty and hopelessness of Nigeria, in the ever-increasing moral depravity of Nigeria, have seriously degraded our love of enterprise, our confidence, our pride, our cheerful love of family and loyalty to kinsfolk. As we enjoy life, we don't want any EFCC to bust into a club and start, beating women on their buttocks. If they are criminals, you find a way to capture them in the early hours when they are sleeping, with technology, with everything. But don't bust into when we are having a nightlife in Akure, in Ibadan, and thinking that this is a Sharia state. Yoruba land is not a Sharia state. We can eat our pork, we love it. Not all of us eat it. We can drink our beers, our alcohol, but I don't want any Igbo people to create a fraudulent alcohol for me. But if you have a Yoruba country, our own character will deal with it, not the Nigerian character. I don't want you to start doing ritualists. As they say all the time, Ogun State is the highest when it comes to ritualists. We will deal with every one of you. But what is creating all that? It is our Omoluabi ethos, that the underdogs, Jera Wonlese, in the Yoruba leni. It is because the opportunities are not there. The land is there, the weather is good, the human capacity is there, but the Jera Wonlese, the underdogs, Yahoo. Even I saw a post, I think on the line today or somewhere, where I think it's in Southeast. The girlfriend, my boyfriend, kill each other. Underdogs. There's crime all over the world, but our character, our real character, our confidence of pride, our cheerful love of family, family ni. But family ti para wọn jà látara Nigeria. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi send owó sí mi, ó mọ bó ṣe ń lọ nílùú òyìnbó ni, owó ò ní máa send ṣe, ó dìjà. Ó ti dìjà. Do you know how many lives people have destroyed? Tó ọmọ tó ń go through. Ẹlòmíì ti kú sọ́nà Libya, tó dé Libya, but wọ́n rò expect pé kò send owó sí wọn ní Nigeria. Ẹlòmíì ní sìn, wọ́n ti ń pè wọ́n pé owó ẹran ńkọ́ bí ìgbà tó yẹ pé wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ owó sí wọn lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n mọ̀ bóyá ń go through kankan nílùú òyìnbó. People go through different stress and pressure abroad. Wọ́n mọ̀ bí wọ́n àtọkọ ní misunderstanding, ọkọ ti bá gbèbí kan lọ́ntì ẹ̀ tó ti ń ṣe fàájì lọ́ntì ẹ̀. Àbọ̀rọ̀ mọ̀ yẹn nísìn. Bóyá wọ́n go through kankan, àwọn tó wà lé nísìn, owó ẹran o, ẹ send owó ẹran o. But because of the love of family that we have, our loyalty to king's fall, our gratitude to benefactors, our gratitude fáwọn tó gbé pẹ̀lú wa, but are they the same? Ẹ máa gbélé fún wọn, ọmọ àgbà mọ́ yín lọ́wọ́. Ó ti yé yín. The crime they committed across Yoruba land, the mess that they've done, ọ̀sán àwọn ọmọ wa di oríṣiríṣi kalẹ̀, especially in Ogun State. Drug tó ń lọ lógun State nísìn àti ritualist tó ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki ó ti kọjá bó ṣe ń lọ. Only God will help us as quickly as possible. Our respect for honesty. Kíyàn sọ̀rọ̀ kó bá níbẹ̀, ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Sọ̀rọ̀ kó bá níbẹ̀, ọmọlúàbí ni. Kò ń ṣe lé ní mọ́. Ẹ bá wa kọ́lé. Wàhálà. All these is what we are going to revive as our national character. There will be a lot of revival. Revival bẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń lọ sí church náà la máa ṣe. Revival àwọn tó yẹ ká gbé lọ sí home bí àwọn kankan ṣe wọ́n tẹ́lẹ̀. But tá a bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí tọ́jú ara wa, the system will go back to normal. Kò mí pé ní àwọn tó máa jẹ́ bad eggs. Bí UK ṣe wà tó ní benefit system tó dá, àwọn olè ṣì máa lọ sí inú ṣọ́ọ̀pù ní sísè. Wọ́n máa jẹ́ aṣọ jí. Even the amount of àwọn tó ń wọnú ṣọ́ọ̀pù jalè nísìn ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀. Wàá wọnú ṣọ́ọ̀pù, wàá dẹ̀ jí nǹkan jáde. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀ tẹ́ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Ẹ má bínú pé àti ìdárúkọ yín, gbogbo yín náà ni mo kí. Thank you so much. So our national character, I feel revive it, according to Baba Kitoye. I feel jẹ́ kó padà sí that honesty and probity. In short, our whole Ọmọlúàbí foundation. Mo sọ fún yín pé bàbá wa kan wọ́n rán èèyàn sí mi. Wọ́n ní mo ṣe àwọn program kan. Wọ́n ní bọ̀ bó ṣe rí kọ́ nìyẹn. Mo ní mo ní but in táwọn sọ ló jẹ́ káwa náà sọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n ní Koiki kò dẹ̀ wá rí bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ rárá o. Mo ní ẹ sure. Wọ́n ní kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n ní but in those àwọn ní no pé kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n ní dà. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn it was a lengthy discussion for over an hour, and I'm talking about a big man nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Big man gidi. Tọ́nà gbọ́ program mi. Pé kí ló dé? Kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ Koiki Yorùbá nation àjọ ń ṣe. Mo ní ẹgbẹ́ yá àjọ ṣe Yorùbá nation náà ń tẹ́ sọ́la wá sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí o. Wọ́n ní náà àjọ ń ṣe Yorùbá nation ni. Manoda. Ẹ mọ̀ pé ọmọlúàbí ni wá. Tá bá wà lórí program kò mí pé torí pé ọ̀nà jì síra wa la ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ sí wọn. No! Táwọn governors wa tó bá ṣe tiwa nísìn wàláì má dọ̀bálẹ̀ fún wọn. Wàláì tàlà ìsọmọ́ bí láìláìsí láhùwà. Tí bá gbọ́ pé Ṣèyí Mákindé ó gbóhùn sókè pé gbogbo Yorùbá nation yẹn jẹ́ kó àní ẹ gbóhùn sókè má ní ṣe lábẹ́lẹ̀ àtàlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀rù. Àwọn olè ń bẹ̀rù. A máa dúró tì yín tán. Sáwọn northerners lè ń bẹ̀rù. Wọ́n tó bẹ́ẹ̀. Ní tí mo sọ fún bàbá wa Ọ̀jájá ikú bàbá yìí. Mo ní bàbá ẹ jẹ́ gbóhùn sókè. Mo ní àwọn olè ń bẹ̀rù. Ọmọ yóò mọ kọ́kọ́. Mo sọ fún bàbá Adébánjọ náà the same thing. At least àwọn méjèèjì yẹn, I was able to see them. Èmi àti wọn àti Ìgbòho nìkan. Àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ kan wà tó sọ fún wa. And that's why when I came back, I calmed down. Okay. Mo mọ àwọn governor tó sọ fún wa pé they are in line with us. They only mark 100%. But I'm not going to be telling you all that. We governor by also. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, gbogbo wọn lórí burúkú ni wọn. As far as I'm concerned. Àní ẹgbóhùn sókè. So that ọmọlúàbí ethos, mo á sọ fún àwọn tó pè mí yẹn pé ó dá ẹ bá sọ pé bàbá yìí pé n tí mo sọ yẹn pé kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ táwọn ọ̀rẹ́ sọ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ lórí ẹ jẹ́ n rí wọn bá sọ̀rọ̀ gangan. Ẹ mọ̀ báyìí lẹ ṣe gbé ọ̀rọ̀ wá nísìn ẹ jẹ́ kémi rí wọn bá sọ̀rọ̀. Tí bá bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá sọ pé Koiki tí yín náà ládẹ ń ṣe àbọ̀ àwa ń ṣe lábẹ́lẹ̀ ni tí mo dẹ̀ gbọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ó wá kù sí wọn lọ́wọ́ ó kù sílẹ̀ dá wọn lọ́wọ́. I will say, okay, we are sorry. If you mo lọ sílé, mo apologize fáwọn kankan. Nígbà tí mo rí wọn. Mo rí but lè máa dúró kí ìyá máa jẹ wá kó tó pẹ́ kẹ́ tó sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹgbẹ́ tó rí Ìgbòho náà sọ, ó náà sọ̀rọ̀ sáwọn ọba. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, okay, Uchi say we have nothing in common as a federal state. Mo kí bàbá wa John Ogundele. Mo kí wàá tó kù náà. Ẹ to understand? We apologize. Ìyẹn ló lóye ṣe ní ẹ má bú àwọn ọba kankan mọ́. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá bú ọba kò sí pẹ̀lú òun. And we accepted it. But yes, a ti sọ̀rọ̀ sí wọn nígbà kan, but àmọ́ ọmọdé ò lè mọ ẹ̀kọ́ jẹ kó má ra lọ́wọ́. Ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà má nà pọ̀wé níwájú yín. so bàbá wa yẹn mo ti ní dárúkọ wọn ọ̀ǹtí tèmi bá rí wọn bá sọ̀rọ̀ so àwọn tó sì wá yẹn náà ó lè jẹ́ pé gimmick ni ẹ mọ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ Nàìjíríà but from the discussion it was a lengthy one and I'll just put it like that mo ní tí bá rí wọn bá sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá sọ wọn pé I will apologize tá lè mí kò mí pé torí pa wà lórí screen àwọn ṣe bí hooligan no hooligans kọ́ lélẹ́yìí o ìtàgbédá ní kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ rárá ara kan wá gidi bí Gaza ni ara kan wá bí Gaza bàbá Akíntóyè jẹ́ bàbá tó dá ni bàbá yẹn ló ń sọ fún wa pé ọ̀nà tá a máa fi gbà peaceful ni àwa kan fẹ́ lọ peaceful kò ń ṣe pé mo sọ èmi mo tí mo sọ fún Ìgbòho àti bàbá Akíntóyè nígbà tí mo lọ lé 2021 wọ́n sọ fún mi pé ara kan Gaza o wọ́n máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀ o fáàkì lèmi sọ fún yín o Ìgbòho ló bẹ̀ mí pé gbá padà lọ sí ìlú òyìnbó kó tó ṣe ń rán débẹ̀ mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ olóyè Ìgbòho ṣá mo kí ẹ irú mọlẹ̀ mo níbi tó bá ń lọ ni mò ń lọ ibi tó bá ń lọ ni mò ń lọ àjọ ń rìnrìn àjò yìí ni bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo sọ fún ẹ àjọ ń rìnrìn àjò yìí ni wọ́n ṣe àwọn tó jókòó tán náwọn àṣìṣe fún olóyè Ìgbòho olóyè lèmi ṣiṣẹ́ fún ta ló kàn mí pẹ̀lú olóyè àti bàbá Akíntóyè mo ṣiṣẹ́ fún àwọn ajá àṣìṣe fún olóyè so èyí tẹ́ wà lórí Koikimedia ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ máa darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní other platform because a fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí gba call lórí bíbá kí ni ọmọlúàbí ethos mo kí gbogbo ìyá wa tí ẹ wà lórí ètò pẹ̀lú mi ìyá wa Margaret Ìbíjọkẹ́ àwọn màmá dáadáa kò ní bàjẹ́ fún yín rárá ẹ lọ sórí Ọláyọmí Kóìkì ètò ń lọ lórí ibẹ̀ yẹn náà ìyá mi Adégbímpé Owóníyì mo kí Badmus chapeau bàbá mi Ismaila Salisu mo kí gbogbo àwọn prophet wa nílé lóko ìyá mi Margaret Felicia Àjàgbé mo kí ìyá wa Bọ́lá Táwàkálítù olórúkọ ìyá mi nìyẹn Táwàkálítù mo bọ́lọ̀ ń dúró ẹ ṣé gan ni so as we talk about the reviving our character ṣe a ní character yes kí ni character yẹn then kí ló dé tí kò ṣe ṣiṣẹ́ nísìn is because of the underdog of Nigeria underdog ní Nigeria ìlú òfò ni ẹ má bínú tó ń pè lẹ́ǹkan yẹn so ẹ jẹ́ ká bá bishop sọ̀rọ̀ kọ́kọ́ sọ nípa kí ló ń pè ní the ọmọlúàbí character and how do we plan to revive it ṣáàkọ̀ máa tẹnu sọ ni àbáwọn nǹkan kan wà tá a máa gbé ìgbésẹ̀ and I say to every one of you thank you so much as you all sit every day especially in Nigeria you spend a lot of money so I'm not going to hold because afternoon time Bishop busy gone but when I call him he's always available for us so Bishop I'll allow you to take charge mo ní sí lórí ìjókòó mo ń lọ sókè ṣe má tún máa ní Kóìkì máa bí mi ní kankan ẹ̀kọ́ fire on so àwọn èèyàn máa gbọ́ yín but èmi fẹ́ dìde sí ló fẹ́ lọ nọ́ọ̀sẹ̀ lókè wọ́n gbọ́ yín ẹ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ.
ẹ ṣé gan thank you very much it's a pleasure to be on your platform at this moment. I want to thank you and I want to thank everybody listening and watching worldwide. I send my greetings to all your people, elders, and our mothers, our sisters too. Omoluabi, it is our heritage. Omoluabi is not a factor of religion. Àwọn òyìnbó yìí náà ni wọ́n dá ayé rú nítorí gbogbo ẹ̀ ní àkọsílẹ̀ ti wà ohun tí wọ́n máa gbé ṣe pàápàá ní ìrọ̀lẹ́ ayé gbẹ̀yìn ayé tí a wà yìí. Initially there is nothing like religion. When you study all the religion, you see that they are culture of some people, some ethnic sects. It's culture, and when you look and separate those cultures, you find that the nitty-gritty, which is faith in those religions, is all the same. And that is what God has established from the beginning. Is that single faith.
I'm glad you, Bishop.
The rest is culture. The rest is culture into it. Nígbà tí Jésù tí when he left, the disciples were worshiping even on Saturday, because that was the culture of the Jew. The disciple, he didn't change it. It was on Saturday. Now one share is saying that is Sabbath or joy simi.
Okay.
But when the Rome invaded them, scattered their documents away, scattered their land, took over the documents and and everything, started engraving into their own and constitute a new and constitute what they call religion. That's how religion starts. And constitute what they classify everything and say this religion, this, that. Classify the religion mixed with the culture. They worship on Sunday. Ọjọ́ Sunday làwọn ń ṣe ìsìn fún Ọlọ́run wọn. Sunday ọjọ́ tí wọ́n sin oòrùn. So they shift the worship to Sunday, and they took a reason from it, from the same document of the Jew, that the day that Jesus rose from the dead. That's emphatically, I won't call it lie, but it's true. But it is emphatically not the perspective the way they say it, because Jesus rose from the dead in between Saturday night to Sunday morning. It's not that Sunday early in the morning, because when the people got there, the angel told them that he has risen. So Lorumoju Saturday ló ti jíǹde ló dẹ̀ ti ń káàkiri. So that's the perspective of religions and all that. So we are not religious.
Okay.
And the Jews have brought the message of Christ into Africa even before the British brought, the Romans and others brought it. The message that Jesus sent to all the world is indigenous. Only go to every nation. Nation is micro-ethnic groups. There is no Nigeria, there is no England, there is no Turkey, there is no that time. There is none. What we have a micro-ethnic group. That is what English interpretation wrote as nations. And Yoruba as a micro-ethnic group, we are nation. That is a nation. A group of people with same culture. He didn't mix it up. He didn't match them, because God knows the identity of every ethnic that he created. And in every identity, nínú ìṣẹ̀ṣe olúkúlùkù ni ó ti farahàn níbẹ̀. He sent them to everyone. Tẹ́ bá débẹ̀ o, tẹ́ bá sọ fún ó máa yé wọn nínú ìṣẹ̀ṣe wọn. That is what he sent. He said, and I'm with you till the end of age. Títí di àkókò tá a wà yìí, I'm with you títí di ìgbẹ̀yìn ayé. That about Psalm 119, ó ní àwọn ọ̀run sọ̀rọ̀ ògo Ọlọ́run, òfurufú fi iṣẹ́ rẹ̀ hàn. Ó ní ọjọ́ dé, ọjọ́ náà fọhùn. Ó ní kò sí ibì kan tí a kò gbọ́ ìró wọn. Ó ní okun wọn la gbogbo ayé já. In English, he said, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament is what? Day after day, they utter speech. Only there are no places, no ethnic groups in any of the world. There are no places where their voice is not understood. Oh my God. Only the line cut across the world. If you are China, if you are Russia, if you are English, if you are Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, whatever it is, God uses the astronomic structure to communicate to all the inhabitants of the earth. And with our different diversity of cultures and language, we can decode it. One message, and diversity of culture and languages can understand it in their own different cultures and dialects. Languages. That is God. Now, these British or colonial people in the Europe, they are seeds of enemy of God right from the beginning. I'm not twisting my words. Àwọn ìran wọn náà ní Rome tó lọ dá ìṣẹ̀ṣe àwọn Ísírẹ́lì tó fẹ́ dáwó tó kó gbogbo wọn lẹ́rú àwọn káàkiri gbogbo àgbáyé. Àwọn náà ló tracy wọn tún wọnú Áfíríkà wá bá wa ìran tó kù àti colonize buying them. They are not contented with where they were estates. Not contented with their life. They want to be seeing you because they know you are better than them. The Africans, the brown skin is better than them in everything, in strength, in imagination, in thought, in ability, in resources of where we are located. We are far better than. Tí òyìnbó bá kúrò ní gbogbo Iceland, Greenland, Finland, gbogbo ibi tí yìnyín wà tó bá wá gbé l'Áfíríkà, tí àwa aláwọ̀ dúdú ta shift ta padà sí gbogbo Europe ibi yìnyín yẹn, that place will bring out goodness. Àwọn òyìnbó yìí máa fi Áfíríkà lẹ́wọ̀n tó wá bá wa náà. That is the truth. That is the truth. Because that skin is not the original skin from Adam from the beginning. Only we contact in the book of Enoch. Àṣírí yẹn wà níbẹ̀ bí àwọ̀ wọn ẹ̀ ṣe wọnú ayé àwọ̀ funfun. When you read the Bible, when he said there was a time in Genesis chapter 6, only the sons of God, àwọn àjọ̀nú, ó ní wọ́n sọ̀kalẹ̀ sáyé. Báwọn Fúlàní ṣe ń ṣe yẹn tí wọ́n kidnap àwọn èèyàn kiri tó ń fún wọn lóyún tó ń rape àwọn. The people were not legally given in marriage. They were snatching women, impregnating them to produce their kind. That is how white skin was introduced. That was not the skin from Adam. The skin from Adam only what I made. And they know that it is intimidation from the depth of their genetic beings that cannot make them withstand anywhere a black man or a brown skin stands. They will feel intimidated. So you think that they are disrespecting you. No, it is intimidation. Go and study a bully in a school. Go and study a bully. That was the time my son came from school, and he said that somebody did that. When I say, kilo ocean come by, I sat him down and I told him, I said, that guy that did that to you is a lazy boy. I said, next time he try to do that, don't run and don't cry. I said, give him back immediately. You will see that he will run. That's nísìnyí ọmọ mi ẹni àwọn tíṣà máa ń bẹ̀ náà máa ń rojọ́ ẹ̀ o wípé ó burú ó ní kò burú ìgbà tí ó ń sunkún wá bá yẹn ṣe kankan sí nígbà tó wá dì pẹ̀lú wọn ó ní kò pápá ẹ wá rìpọ́tù wọn ó dì pẹ̀lú wọn ẹ wá ló ń burú ẹ sọ fún wọn káwọn náà ṣọ́ra wọn. So when you see a bully, it's intimidation, it's self relegation. The inside of them, they feel they are not up to you. They don't have ability like you, and so to cover up that, they try to intimidate you. You don't give in. You don't give up. You give it back to them the way they bring it. I don't fight. But whatever you are bringing is 50-50. When you bring it 50%, it's coming back to me 50%. But one thing about me is I will now increase it another 50%. It will not be 50-100. Because I will go extra mile. So that will be Shewemo.
So what has been the reason why we lost out our Omoluabi?
Yoruba have to rise up. Omoluabi didn't say you should be a slave and be enslaved.
Okay.
Omoluabi didn't say that you should see your political leader is the slave masters. They are working for the big. I mean, how do you explain it that Dangote has a refinery in Nigeria and Dangote is buying crude oil from Texas? He's not buying Nigerian crude oil. Nigerian crude oil from, I don't know, maybe it's deliberate or it's a lie. But Dangote himself said he is now buying crude oil from Texas. So that the price of petrol, refined product that they will be selling will keep on going high. Who owns that crude oil? Is it not Nigeria? Has it been sold off? But the government will keep on giving the excuse to you that they export the good and now buy refined products. But why are you buying refined products? And they say our refinery is not okay. Okay, now we now have a private refinery that somebody invests his money here to build. Why don't you now sell the crude oil to him in Naira? They have no answer to that. See, that deliberate way, Falana said it, that Nigeria is poor because it's deliberately scheduled or policy. So no government should say, no state or federal should say they have no money to pay labor. And I don't want to go deep into that because I see that a kind of riot or something is coming up. And it's going to start on that June 12th. It's a bloody day.
Wow. Just before you go.
Let me just comment on that now. Will there be end to this imperialism or colonization of this white race? Yes, there will be end. There will be end, and that end is what we are trying to get to. There is a book that the first president of the United States, that's George Washington, wrote. That book is in the library of United States President White House. Every president that enter White House, before he finish the 4 years, we read that book. Now, what did that book contains? George Washington wrote his dream or vision during his first year as a president of the United States there. He said he found himself at the shore of the sea in Washington, D.C. And suddenly he realized that the entire America is like a war zone that was burnt up. And why he was agonizing, shouting, who did this? Who can do this to United States? The great, they are arrogant, as you said. The great United States of America, who can do this? He said that he saw a submarine. He saw submarines, not submarines coming out from the water, surrounding United States submarine, and the flag at the back of the submarine is a flag of Russia. And immediately he said, he cried and said, God, have mercy on America. God, have mercy on America. And that's why I need one change and Omi Jaboloje. And when you woke up from the dream, Omi Yoloje, exactly. That's the way he said it. And that is the way they now make his statues. The way he knelt down and he hold the sand as if he's praying and agonizing. That's how they make his statues like that. That's the way he saw himself in that dream. And since that time, any president that read that book in presidential library, one thing will happen. It's either they start enmity with Russia, or they choose to say, Russia, hold on, Jackie 10 not even party. Let my 10 not pass. Like during Trump was a bit friendly with Russia and said, please hold on. Let my 10 not pass. Like during Obama is ready to go headlong and fight Russia. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So
hello.
This thing will happen. If you read the book of Revelation, I think the book of Revelation chapter 20, 20 or 21 there. Now, it talks about a nation, only the great Babylon fell, city that was clothed with lining, aṣọ tó ń pè ní lining, aṣọ funfun ló ń pè ní lining.
Okay.
Clothed with purple. Now, purple àtijọ́ blue, arrow ni wọ́n pè ní purple.
Yeah.
Látijọ́, that's blue. And clothed with they use a particular name, but that the meaning of the name is blood red.
Okay.
It didn't just say red. The meaning of the color is blood red. Blood red. So you have white, blue, and blood red. Only and is decked with precious stones. Now, when you align the clothes that the country that say will fall is design. You have white, you have blood red, you have blue, and is decked, designed with precious stone. Those are the stars in that blue field. Which country have this kind of flag? The United States of America. He said in 1 hour that great nation fall and was burnt up. It was burnt up. But because we didn't have more time, we could have go there, open it, and analyze it.
Okay.
Then you know the ending of the Western world is at the corner. And that is the end of the African enslavement. And you can see some countries that are in relationship with Russia, like Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and other. They are raising their eyebrow and they are setting themselves free. The people are now happy. Like the president of Burkina Faso, Traore, have decided to step down 2 times. His people say no. It's a military government. His people say no, it should continue. Because they saw difference. Development, rapid development within a short time. And life restored back to their people within a short time. That the democratically elected people who are the slave master to the Western world, looting the resource of their people.
Thank you so much, Bishop. That is a very great one. Thank you so much. That is Bishop there. And as it's 4 o'clock, I'll be heading out in the next few minutes. But before I go, I want us to listen to what Bishop have been saying. I've been watching a couple of different documentaries of different things relating to similar to what Bishop is saying. And I just want us to some of the ones I watched, especially I'll just give you some snip view of it. How are you? Let's listen to these. This one I was watching as of today. What is coming is worse than recession. So we're gonna watch a little bit, not too much of it.
Would you like to have a property business that generates?
Let's allow that advert to go. Moki Bugwalen can say. So for those of us that doesn't know what is coming up, I'm gonna rewind it back. This one says, what is coming is worse than recession. Robert Kiyosaki. And it says again, the last warning. This video was produced 11 days ago on a website called Free Investing, with about 49,000 people have watched it. Let's just also take a sneak view about it as well. Let's put the volume up. Sorry, I've not been reading comment to read out.
The American Empire. There's a law called Gresham's Law. And Gresham's Law says bad money drives out good money. So this is bad money here. It's called the US dollar. And I call it toilet paper today. And this is good money here. This is
that for me was quite, interesting and fascinating, interesting that they're calling the dollar tissue paper, because countries around the world that have relied so much on dollar give American goods. Let's listen to it so that you can enjoy it, because I probably don't have enough time. Let's listen to this.
This is good money here. This is silver and this is gold. So what happened in 71, they took the gold out of this toilet paper right here. And in 64, they took it out of our silver coins. So Gresham's Law is in action today. America has been kind of a bully because we had the reserve currency of the world. The thing we're going to be talking about today is what happens if and when Mexico joins the BRICS. What are the repercussions? What are the shockwaves? What's going to happen? Or as they say in Hispanic, ¿qué pasa? What's going to happen?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, the BRICS formation is something that I've been singularly focused on for the last few years, certainly. And I think it's really very, very, very important. And, I'd like to first throw out that so many things are happening all around us. And while they're significant,
so many things,
these individual events in and of themselves have less significance than when you put them all together. And the things that are happening inside, the blunders, if you will, that are happening inside the United States only exacerbate the consequences that are happening and the realities that are happening outside the border. In other words, the U.S. blunders, I believe, are inspiring the rest of the world, the international community, to unite in opposition to it and in joint establishment of mutually beneficial platforms of politics and economy and trade and currency and finance and culture and education and international security and all of these things that, as you mentioned, the bullying and the sanctions and the hegemony and the hypocrisy of the West, I believe, is coming to an end. And it is those types of actions by the West that I think have squandered the good.
At least you got the message. This is what I've been listening to, for some few days now. I got one more, or if not two, depending on the time. Let's go on again. Germany is the problem. They plan to destroy, Europe. I probably want us to watch another one. 1 minute. This is Sullivan Braverman, the former British Home Secretary. When Yoruba are saying, let's keep Nigeria, what you are doing is you are not going to allow us to control our own borders. Our West, they are controlling their borders. He's no longer the Home Secretary. It was pulled out. When the Conservative came in, they promised that they would bring down the net migration from 200,000, but it has gone up to 700,000. How many people over in Yoruba Leni? So let's watch just a snip view. These are some of the things quietly I've been taking my time to follow as well. Let's watch Sule. I didn't realize that she's from Kenya. Her mother is from Mauritius. The father came here at age 19 when the Asians were kicked out from Kenya. Let's listen to her a little bit.
The simple fact is we are not in control of our southern border.
So
it's now time to leave.
Are we in control of our own border in Yoruba land? You are not in control of your border. Your border is left open for anybody to come in and create mess, kill us, destroy who we are. This is why we want Yoruba nation. And then some of you thinking that, oh, I gotta go now. The call that I'm waiting for is just around the corner. Hello? All right. We would have to do this some other time. It is what it is. As I say, we can never end the program. It's been 2 hours straight in. Thank you so much for everyone that joined us. I won't be able to mention all the names, but every one of you, I love you all. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wa, forílẹ̀ yìí wa, kàgbéga fàlẹ́rì. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bàtìbẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́ kájọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní kẹjẹ́ ká máa lépa. Ìtẹ̀síwájú fọ́pọ̀ ire àtohun tó dára. ọmọ Oòduà dìde bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Have a very good afternoon. Dash may say a very porous border with jihadists coming in on a daily basis. Yoruba nation can take control of our borders and lock it up with every technology and human power, and we can then have a safe place to develop economy and then make ourselves rich, where artificial poverty that have been created for us will not exist anymore. Support Yoruba nation today, and you will never regret you've done so. All hail Biafra, all hail Arewa, all hail Odudua, all hail Scottish. Bye for now. Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Don't forget to support the platform. Share, thumbs up, and also invest in the media that stand gidigba for Yoruba nation. Bye for now.